Hello and welcome back to the GorillaBiker. And I realize everyone who's watching would have already seen the title of this video, so let me get out there and say this is not clickbait. It's actually genuinely don't mod your motorcycle. However, there's a caveat to the title. Yes, don't mod your motorcycle. Yes, it should really be how the title reads, but I mean that's, you know, it's not going to grab anyone's attention. So that's just a quick explainer as to why I have called the video that. Is it is legit. I really don't think you should mod your motorcycle yet. And if you want to know why, obviously stay for the rest of the video. If you are no longer interested, then, you know, feel free to click away. Why I made this video is, you know, recently, obviously, a lot of people who watch the channel normally will know that I have made two changes myself to this bike since I bought it, which otherwise was a slightly modified used Suzuki v-strom. And the biggest change visually to the bike obviously were the mirrors and also the screen. So the bike came with a National Cycle v-strom sport screen, and I wasn't really a big fan from day one because it was quite buffety. And it was really loud due to the buffeting. Now, I did try everything I could to keep that screen because it looked kind of nice, in my opinion. Obviously, not everyone agreed with that either. But to me, it looked kind of nice. But I just wasn't getting on with it. So I spent $27 to buy a stock, perfect condition screen on eBay. Now, why is that important for this whole conversation about don't mod your motorcycle yet? I never got to live with the stock screen, so what I wanted to do was the cheapest way for me to test it, other than take off the screen entirely, which look isn't a runner because it's too ugly, so I'm never going to do that, was to go back to stock and see, you know, why did person A who used to own this bike change this in the first place? And what I've discovered is I really don't know why they changed it. Because while this screen is still not the quietest thing in the world, I have zero buffeting anymore. Now it's very windy right here right now, so just wait till I get to a more treed area. I apologize about the wind. Nothing I can do about it. I live in a windy place. But there's no buffeting off this screen. The airflow is a lot smoother, and if I was to move it up, I think we'd be about here. So that's possibly even better again. So I might actually move it now up to the higher position on the stock screen to test it out, which I do feel that a lot of people throw money at their motorcycles before they should. You know, they buy a new bike and they don't get to know the bike, they don't really test out a lot of stuff before they start throwing money at it. And the thing is, right, that v-strom screen, it's not far off $200. It's really expensive. Like, anyone who thinks $200 is not a lot of money, they make a lot more money than I do, and I don't consider myself to make bad money. But $200 is nothing to be sniffed at. You know, that takes a lot of time to earn. So I just don't really want to just, you know, throw it away. And so I could have went and I could have chased, you know, that mystical dragon and gotten a taller screen. The taller screen, like for instance the GV Airstream or whatever it is also quite expensive, and that could work very well. But for the intents of what I wanted, I don't really care if it's not the quietest thing in the world. I just want a nice airflow over it, which I now have. The important thing to realise is that, and again I do apologise about the wind, it is really windy today. I would like to take this moment to say, if you find your stock screen loud but the airflow is good, then before you do anything around changing screens or really expensive things like that, get yourself a set of the cheapest, simplest earplugs you can find, and wear them for a while. I guarantee you won't be bothered by your screen anymore. Like right now, I'm not wearing my earplugs because I just forgot to put them in today before I left work. Not because I don't always wear them, I generally do wear them. I think they're a lot more comfortable to ride a bike with them in. The key thing is having nice smooth airflow. If your head isn't being thrown around, and that's just one point. Whereas, you know, on the flip side of that, I lived with the stock mirrors for over 1,000 miles and I still didn't get on with them, so that's when they had to be changed. And that's why I say don't mod your motorcycle yet. Live with the components that you have that come with the bike. Like if you buy a bike brand new, you know, use your exhaust for a while, use your mirrors, use your screen, use it all for a little while. See how you actually get on with it in real life terms. Because, you know, if you buy a motorcycle, you have spent or committed to spend a sizable amount of money, no matter who you are. And I just think that, you know, throwing away stock parts is wasteful. Like, for instance, somebody else on this planet bought a new screen for this bike that arguably works worse, and I bought this one for $25. So, I mean, from the stock condition, I spent $25 to get what I wanted. I mean, who's the winner there? You know, I think it's me. I do think it's me. You know, and that kind of goes for everything on your bike. You know, the likes of your bars, your seat, your exhaust, your lights, your everything. Use the bike for what you want to use it for first. You know, see what genuinely does and doesn't work first. Because if you just get to the thing and you immediately throw like a considerable amount of money into that motorcycle to modify it, then you're just left with something that really and truly doesn't have any more, hello cows, they're all out after the winter, you don't have any more really, you know, market value. You haven't added any value to the bike per se, because those modifications were to your taste. Those modifications were, you know, to complete things, changes that you wanted, not necessarily what the person who's going to buy your bike from you wanted. So if you're going to keep the bike forever, and if they're mods for aesthetics, and it's something you really love and feel strongly about, then absolutely do it. But if it's something for your comfort, for the usability of the bike, then wait. I think I nearly have 2,000 miles on this bike right now, and honestly, there's nothing that really jumps out and says, oh, I need to be changed to me right now. For sure, the screen was one of them. The screen had to be changed. I didn't like it. It was too loud. And the buffeting was uncomfortable on longer and shorter journeys, so that had to go. You know, same as the mirrors. The mirrors were huge, they were ugly as hell, and they also weren't actually functional because I couldn't see anything out of them. Whereas these Aprilia mirrors are functional. They're wide, they sit wider so I can actually see stuff out of them, and they're way prettier. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that really I don't understand why those particular mirrors were still on this bike stock. They're horrible. I don't know in what product test they made sense. But from my perspective, they didn't. They sucked. So I don't want it to be seen as like I'm being negative against the aftermarket industry. I'm not. I love the aftermarket industry. I've bought many things from the aftermarket industry. I fully support modifying your bike at the right time. My issue is doing it too early. For instance, you know, I lived with the exhaust on my Yamaha FZ6 for years, and I never ever liked that exhaust. Now, if I earned more money at the time, I definitely would have changed it earlier. I was not a fan of the stock exhaust. It sounded terrible. It really sounded terrible. But at the same time, the original one worked just fine. It just sounded crap. So, you know, that's something that had to be changed for sure. And it was great, and I loved it. But like I said, I had the FZ6 for I think 3 years before I put that exhaust on, and I was 100% certain I wanted to do it. I did make the mistake with the phaser that I remember I put a huge big screen onto it, and it never really did anything, and it was a Chewie. It was really expensive. It was a good third of the price of the exhaust that I ended up buying. And that was a big lesson learned for me. So whenever I get asked what's the first thing I should modify in my motorcycle, that's why now my answer is often weight. And you know, for instance, now what I would like to change first off is often my suspension. It's just on this bike it worked really well from the get-go, so I didn't need to. You know, it's just one of those things. I never felt the need to change the screen on the CBF. I did need to feel the need to change the exhaust. I knew that from the test ride. The exhaust sounded like a sewing machine. So the big hitters, and I'll finish this video because it doesn't need to be too long. The big hitters: your exhaust that everyone changes, your seat that everyone changes, you know, your screen, a lot of people change that. Really and truly, live with the screen for an extended period of time. You cannot tell, is a screen actually good, even on a short ride, unless it's really buffety. You know, the 850 GS I tried that time, that stock screen sucked for a taller person. But that doesn't mean it's going to suck for you. You could be shorter than me, the screen could work really well for your body shape, so you got to try these things. You know, an exhaust tone is something you can tell pretty quickly, so that's why people often go for that pretty quick. A suspension is something actually you can tell pretty quick. You know, if you can't get the adjustment that you want, then you need to change it, right? So that's kind of the whole purpose of what I wanted to answer this is, you know, people ask me, like I said, you know, what should I change first? What's the big mod I should do? None of them. Wait. Use your bike. Enjoy your bike that you've spent a lot of money on, more than likely, and get a feel for it. Understand how the bike fits you and fits your daily uses, you know? And from there, then you can change it. You know, if you do a lot of early morning commuting in a built-up area, a super loud exhaust might not be your friend. That might just get you in a lot of trouble that you don't need. It just might add stress to your life. Nobody wants to add stress to their life, you know what I mean? And also, it's your use case, it's where you live, it's how you live. You know, all these things are important. All these things are super important. I mean, if I lived in a city, I probably wouldn't even have a screen. I'd just have a naked bike. And I mean, that was the intent with this one, is buy the stock one, put it as low as possible. I want it as out of the way as I can. But I also live in, like, one of the windiest places I've ever been on average in my life. On my commute, a lot of the rest of the state isn't, but on my commute it surely is. So that's why I like screens, and I just like fairings anyway. It keeps a lot of air and fatigue off your chest. Daily riding, you want reliability and you want comfort. If you're going to be riding a higher percentage on the track, then you're going to want that thing to handle a bit sharper. You're going to probably want to upgrade your suspension. You might want to tune it to get a little bit more power out of it. And look, that's it. That's all I wanted to say is, for all of those people asking me, you know, what should they modify first? What's the thing I would suggest they modify first? Absolutely none of it. Don't modify any of it until it becomes super clear to you what you think really doesn't work for you on that particular bike. And I mean, you'll know, you know, you'll know. If you're sitting at home and you're like, oh, I'd love to go for a ride now, but ABC on that bike just sucks, you know? It's like, oh, well, I'd like to go right up to my friends, but that's 2 hours away and my back will be killing me. That's something you need to look at, you know? You can fix that, whether it be with suspension or a seat. You can fix that. Or if the bike really just doesn't suit your body shape and size, maybe look at changing the bike. You know, it's something you have to consider. But everything else, like if you're going for a ride and there's nothing that's really jumping out at you, that's bothering you, if it's just, you know, if you just really enjoy riding your bike, then you can start making changes for the hell of them, like aesthetic changes, you know, exhaust changes. You want to make it sound better. You just want to have a little bit more fun on it. That's absolutely fine too. Like I said, I am not against modifying bikes. I am a huge proponent of modifying bikes. Just do it the right way. Don't spend money that you're going to regret spending. Spend money on actually riding your bike, getting to know your bike. In the end of the day, you'll be happier for it, I promise. I really do promise. You know, like, you just don't want to put a heap of money into your bike that you won't get back, and you'll regret down the line when you know you've spent too much. So that's it, that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching. If you have watched this far, I do appreciate it. A special thank you as always to all of my patrons. I don't think any of them actually asked this question, so you're free from this one, guys and girls. And yeah, until next time, thank you again. Adios. Outro crew. I asked in the last video, does anyone have any suggestions for like a good vlogging helmet, a bit quieter? And I got no suggestions. So let me know what helmet you use down in the description. Let me know down in the comments, and let me know, is it a quiet helmet? This one isn't particularly quiet, so I think I'll get another, like I think I'll get a different daily helmet for track use. I'll keep this one. Anyway, thank you as always, Outro crew. You are the MVPs of the videos watching this far. Adios. Adios as well. Oh, you usually get a bye. Bye, Outro crew. Cows. Cool black cows. I like the look of those cows. Nice looking friendly ones. And just in case anyone asks, yes, these are the full gauntlet India Ridge gloves. I cannot comment on them yet though, in case you did notice we're going to ask. I get questions on these things a lot. I haven't even broken these in yet. I've only worn them like 3 times, so no comment other than they look nice. Yet.